rainy day today. Hey there, BikeBlogger here. I want to talk briefly about what makes a good fender or mudguard. What is a fender or mudguard? This thing right here on my bike, this thing bouncing around right here. This is the front fender, and you can see I got the rear fender back there with some pretty big stays sticking out. These are what the stays are, these things right here. They supports really for the fender. Anyway, what makes a good fender? Coverage. Longer fender, the better. Mudguards, good idea. You want a rigid fender. You know, rigid fenders are quiet. They'll not rub on the tires. Metal fenders often are stiffer than plastic fenders. My fenders are plastic. There's no metal core. That's why you see them bouncing around a lot. However, my fenders, Planet Bike, are really good. I have never had them break on me, have never gotten them stuck in a wheel spoke or anything, so they work fine for me. Something to keep in mind though, that metal fenders are often stiffer. You want a deep fender profile. What does that mean? To direct water out of the bottom rather than the sides, basically. So you have sort of a deep bend here, so you can get more, directed away from you rather than, right on you. You want adjustable fenders. That's what these stays are for right here. You can move it up and down for different sizes of wheels and tires to accommodate different sizes, which is nice. Stainless steel hardware, good idea, so it doesn't rust as quickly. Double struts, especially for plastic fenders. Struts or stays here. We got one set down here and another here. Let me get up and show you so you can see a little better here. So here are my fenders. So you got a support here and here. So I got a lot of coverage on the back and especially also on the front right here. That's really important. So that's my bike in a nutshell with the fenders. In a nutshell. You want nothing sharp on your fenders. See, I got little things covering the sharp points on the ends of these stays. You don't want anything sharp that's gonna poke you. You want to make sure when you turn your wheel you got enough room so you don't bump it with your foot. So things to consider, just like fitting a bicycle rack to your bike, fitting a fender to your bike is difficult because it's basically every job is a custom job. So you're gonna have to screw around with some things a little bit to monkey around with and make it work, but for most bikes, you shouldn't have any problem. It really helps when you have things you can connect the fender to, like eyelets here. Let's see. Right here, I got eyelets on the fork. I do not on the back. So what I use are these P-clips or clamps, and it provides me a spot that I can put a bolt and a nut on the other side, a nylock on the other side. Keep it from, moving around on you. So, yeah, I just basically get this cheap little piece from the hardware store, mount it on the seat stay here on this part of the frame, and then it gives me a point where I can connect to with a bolt to connect my fender to my bike. Good idea. You want it on, you want it secure. You don't want it flying off on you, especially on the road. Dangerous. You don't want that happening to you. And you want something called quick release clips. What are those? They're like, they allow the mudguard to open up if debris gets caught in them. So you see down here, there's actually a plastic bit here that's attached to the metal. So another thing to keep in mind is the fit, like I was talking about on your bike. You gotta be concerned about clearance. You need to have more than probably 10, probably more than 15 millimeters between your tires and the fork crown, chainstay bridge, and the seat stay bridge. What does that mean? Fork crown is this area here where you're trying to get, underneath your brakes there. Chainstay, seat stay. You gotta make sure you can get through here. There's usually sometimes a bar down here. Make sure you can get underneath there, get it up high enough away from the tire. Chainstay right here. Make sure you can have enough clearance back in there. So there's all these points you need to consider. And like, you know, usually you use a zip tie, cable tie, and you can figure out a way to sort of hold it in place. Of course, again, bolts are the best way to go. Basically, if you know, you subtract 10 millimeters off the fender width to determine the maximum tire clearance. In other words, if the fender is rated, if it's like a 35 millimeter fender, is what it's called, a 35 millimeter fender, then you're not going to be able to put any more than 25 millimeter wide tires in there. Tires vary in sizes. You know, some tires are wider than others once you pump it up. It depends on the rim you're putting on, the wheel you're putting on. So there's a lot of differences you don't always really know. But generally at least 10 millimeters less than the fender width. Now I was looking at the brakes here earlier. You see these little tiny brakes here, these road caliper brakes? Typically they will fit a 35 millimeter fender underneath them. Now, if you have different types of brakes, V brakes, cantilever brakes, long reach brakes, probably fit a 45 millimeter fender underneath those. So things to keep in mind. A V brake, probably you can do 50 millimeter wide fenders really without any problem. That just depends. Another type of brake, that's all. So that's it for today on the BikeBlogger show. I'm going to now ride my bike to work. So thanks for watching. If you're going to stay with me, well, let's go now. Here we go. So yeah, people have commented before on my videos specifically about this bike which I'm riding, which is a single speed bike with fenders on it, and why my front fender flexes so much. You can see it bouncing around a lot in the video frame. At least I think it can. Go right here. Well, for one, I have skinny tires on this bike, 23 millimeter wide tires, high air pressure. You feel everything with the road pretty much. Yes, and this is an aluminum frame bike. So that's part of it, because I don't have any cushion really. And I have small tires because that's these are the only tires I can really fit on this bike with fenders, because there's only a little bit of clearance, because it's sort of a track bike geometry, because it's a single speed bike. Or fixed gear if you wanted to go fixed gear. I usually ride single speed though. Also, the fenders are made completely out of plastic, so they're gonna flex. And it's actually on purpose. These are Planet Bike fenders. They call their plastic technology Super Flex. And even though you see it bouncing around there, it, you know, from my perspective, when I'm, you know, sitting in the bike up here above the bars, and I'm not way down low like the camera is, it doesn't seem to be moving around a whole lot. And it does a good job of keeping me dry. Now, just because it's plastic doesn't necessarily mean it's weaker than metal. It's actually sort of a good thing, I think, that it does flex. You gotta watch out for these paints on the road when it's wet. You can slip real easily. But I haven't had any trouble, and from what I can gather online, nobody's had any trouble that I know of with these Planet Bike fenders breaking on them. I have read stories about SKS fenders having problems, but you know, these are just anecdotes. Doesn't mean anything, doesn't mean SKS aren't just as good as Planet Bike. But I just haven't found evidence yet of people, you know, people saying that, you know, a Planet Bike fender, one of these Cascadia fenders, broke on them because it was too super flexy or whatever. But yeah, that's why it's bouncing around. It's not made of metal, or it doesn't have a metal core, you know, with plastic on the top. These are just purely plastic. Oh boy. Lots of wet leaves here, and I'm climbing on the hill. Can get a little dangerous, can lose a little traction on the back wheel if you're not careful. Usually want to keep your weight back when you're climbing on a hill anyway. Things to watch out for. So yeah, I haven't had any issues with these fenders, so did a video on them, talking about them. I'll post a link or in the description below this video, but also at the end of the video, like I'll I usually have links to other videos, so I'll add that as a link so you can learn a little bit more about my fenders on my bike. Not necessarily saying that, you know, go get these fenders. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying fenders like these, there's not, you don't have to get metal fenders. Now, you know, I've often been saying metal, 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 steel is real, but I'm open to new things. So, more on that in the future video. Woo. Alright, I missed my turn, so I'm going to be standing here in the rain for a little bit. Is it even raining? Can you even notice? I don't think it's even really raining that much anymore. It's just sort of a sprinkle. Any minute now. Waiting for the cars on the left. There you go. There you go. Alright. I've not seen one cyclist today, but it is sort of wet and cold, so you wouldn't blame him. Perfect timing, now the light's going green. Nobody's in this lane because it's going away. But I'll ride in this lane because I'm not going the direction they're going. I'm going up the hills. Nice, smooth, going 19 miles per hour. Nice and easy. Go up the hill to the right. Sort of funny that I'm riding 23 millimeter skinny tires. And it's sort of funny how in the good old days when people raced steel bicycles, they had really skinny tires. Like 22, maybe 20? I don't know. Really skinny, narrow tires. And it's like totally flipped around now. You got these bikes that are 5, 6, 7 pounds lighter than they used to be at the pro level, and the tires are getting wider for good reason, because even though you can get a little better acceleration on these skinny tires, it sort of, you know, loses its effectiveness every time you hit a little minor inconsistency in the road surfaces, i.e. bumps. Because those bigger tires, they don't have a lot of, you know, tread on them. They won't really slow you down. They'll actually help you when you're going over bumps. Woo! Yeah, the rain's coming down. I feel it. All of my hat and my helmet. Yes, I'm wearing a helmet. I'm wearing my winter helmet with the ear flaps. Nice and cozy, nice and warm. I feel great. I feel great. So, might as well go ahead and say it, because I've been thinking about it. You might not be seeing me ride this bike a whole lot more. I'm still gonna have it around, kicking around, but I did a video on this before. Riding rim brakes in the rain, no problem. Just gotta, you know it's gonna, it's gonna take you a little bit longer to stop. And you really gotta make sure you clean them every time afterward you ride in the rain. You should do that with any bike, yeah, but still, for us lazy bike commuters, disc brakes. Get disc brakes. Especially if you live in a climate that has a lot of rain. Get disc brakes. They're just so much better. Oh, the train. The train's behind us now. So what day is it, BikeBlogger? You're sort of releasing videos a little slow. I mean, you know, you're sort of behind here. It's November still. It is November, was it 29 or something, I think? Last week of November. It's getting colder. Got my jacket on and my winter helmet, like I said. This is some of the worst of it, you know, when it's cold and rainy. But, yeah. So yeah, no, I don't have any trouble with these fenders, but I am thinking of just using my good old go-to Diamondback bike for rainy days again. I mean, at one point, it was my only bike. It was my do-everything bike. And I sort of like that simplicity. But, yeah. I think I'm going to be using that now. Probably for rainy days in the future. I mean, this bike, there's no real... I don't know, I'm always going back and forth with this. You know me. Buying bikes. Getting rid of bikes. Swapping bikes. Moving parts from one bike to another. Sort of a hobby. Sort of a passion. Sort of an obsession. So... anyway. This is a really nice spec'd out single speed bike. I admit that. It's like I think it's only 20 pounds and it's got fenders and all my accessories mounted on it. Nice bike, nice bike. Just seems to overlap the functions of my other bikes, so it's like, do I really need this bike? I don't know. I don't know. I think I mentioned previously I did retire, i.e. donate, i.e. Give away my Le Mans bicycle, just because I just wasn't getting the use out of it that I wanted to get out of it, and I don't know. Always looking for new things to try out. Often just seem to be going always back to single speed, because I love it, especially in conditions like today, where it's like, what can go wrong with a single speed? I mean, the most complicated device on a single speed is the freewheel. I got a pretty sweet freewheel by White Industries. It's gasketed and protected from the elements more than most. I haven't had any issues so far. Just got to maintain things occasionally. It's actually sort of funny too when I'm riding disc brakes with the semi-metallic brake pads. How it makes like a rather than the pure organic. How it makes like a screeching noise. Right too. How it makes a screeching noise like a train. I think that's sort of cool. Sort of want that again, rather than this sort of squealing when the rim is wet. Anyway, thanks for coming along with me on this bike ride into work today. Let's see how we 19 points to 20.2. 20.4, 20.5 miles per hour. We'll see you next time.